We are Newfoundlanders, that we are fishermen, and we can't take away, we don't want to take away their rights, and we've got no right to take away the rights of those who go out to the front. They're out there for $1. They need it in order to get the bare necessities of life. They must go out. It's a must with them. If they weren't fishermen, they would probably be into the lumber woods, or they'd probably be trying to work themselves into the Confederation building. So you see, it's a must with them as much as it is with us. So we are no people, we as landsmen are no people to try to cut in on their means and ways of living.
Good afternoon, I'm Glenn Tilley. This is 30 from St. John's. Gordon Ware is a sealer, and as you heard, he feels quite strongly about the issue which seems to divide Newfoundlanders from most other Canadians. Gordon is just one of hundreds of sealers in this province. He's a landsman. He shoots seals from his boat, unlike those who club the seals in March on the front. The front hunt is the one which has gotten all the publicity from seal hunt opponents these past few years. It hasn't been a very good year for the landsmen. Weather problems have been preventing them from taking their limit. At this time last year, the landsmen had taken 35,000 seals, but so far this year, they have taken less than half that amount. The landsmen leave their communities and face many perils, but it's an experience they wouldn't give up for all the world. Now we take you to a community in Newfoundland for which the seal hunt is a normal part of the residents' winter economy. Here's Marie Wadden.
Little Bay Island is a tiny community in Green Bay with a population of something over 500. It's a prosperous place with great beauty. There's no unemployment on the island, and on a per capita basis, it boasts more fishermen and longliners than anywhere else in the province. In fact, in the summertime, Little Bay Island has to import laborers to work in their fish plant. Everything there now seems to be too small for its rapid pace of development. The ferry is too small, the people say, to move in the new mobile homes and the heavy trucks. The young people are staying on the island and finding jobs. And the school on the island needs to be torn down and replaced by a new one with modern facilities. The industrious islanders are progressing beyond the government's capacity to keep up, it seems. One of the major winter occupations of the men on Little Bay Islands is the seal hunt, and that's mainly the story we wish to tell today. They've asked us to bring this story to the mainlanders, or those up in Canada, to show that the men involved in this industry aren't barbarians or callous hunters, but men with a living to make and a strong heritage which motivates them. Now you're going to meet some of these men and participate in one of their pursuits on the sea. The Beverly Jones was steaming out into Notre Dame Bay. Her position was about 100 miles southeast of Little Bay Islands. The Beverly Jones is a longliner, and her skipper is Lemuel Jones. The boat and her crew operate out of Little Bay Islands. It was Tuesday, February the 6th, and the first day the Beverly had been able to put to sea for 2 weeks. Bad weather and heavy ice had kept her and her crew ashore. By now, everybody on the island was hungry for her catch, seal meat, and eagerly awaited the return of the boat and the landsmen. Today, the boat had agreed to carry a CBC crew aboard, so we could see the landsmen's hunt firsthand. Now we were out to see the oldest seal hunt in the world. The landsman's hunt is older than the controversial hunt on Newfoundland's front off the island's north coast. Indigenous hunters have been at it for thousands of years in the north. For the present settlers on the island, it dates back to probably the first winter fishermen settled here and needed a winter food supply. The seal comes south with the ice in January and feed off fish in some of the community's bays close to shore. At first, the seals were taken from small boats with nets. Now they're taken by high-powered rifles and shot from longliners by some of the best marksmen in the province. And you've got to be a crack shot to hit this target. When the seals are as scarce as they were the day we were out, you have to keep a close eye out for a sighting. Usually the seal travels alone, and you'd be lucky to sight a tiny black head poking up through the slob ice. Seals swim submerged for up to 20 minutes without coming up for air, and they're fast swimmers. You've got to be quick and accurate if you're going to be lucky while they're above water. Our marksmen rarely missed. Later in the season, in May and April, you're more likely to see thousands of seals coming south from the front. On one trip last year, the Beverly Jones came home with several hundred seals. All told for the season, she got 800, which netted $2,200 for each of the 3 men on board. For several hours, we had no luck. Then the boat came to a halt, and within seconds, we heard a shot. Lem had shot the first seal. There's no question of not killing the seal immediately once it's hit. With these rifles, Lem had used a .243 Winchester. Death is instantaneous, and the seal is left afloat, making it easier for the boat to pick it up and haul it aboard. There was another special passenger aboard the Beverly Jones this day. It was Jim Strong, a long-time sealer himself, now retired and living at Little Bay. Jim's family operated a large fish company from Little Bay Islands at the turn of the century, and in the 1930s it boasted handling 3% of the total fish produced in Newfoundland. At one time, 30 or 40 schooners belonging to the Strongs plied the fishery at the Labrador and along the French shore. While he was the son of a merchant, Jim said he had sealing in his blood and wasn't content to handle the product over the counter. He went out with the landsmen and still looks forward to the sealing season each year.
The seal fishery was always important, and possibly more important, no, I wouldn't say, the same importance as it is now to the men, because in those days with no money and the cod fishery, the price of fish was so low that the fishermen didn't earn very much, and when they came home in September, October, and January, there was no other employment at all. The seal fishery was food for the people at that time, too, because there was no refrigeration, and the meats that we'd get would have to be either curs or seals or something we could catch ourselves. And it was the food value of it was as important as the dollars and cents you'd get for buying tea and sugar as things you had to have. I always thought that a fisherman had the right to make a living in the wintertime as well as in the summer. He'd fish in the summer and come home in 1st of January. He's out of work until next May or June. And if he could only get something to do, so we build a schooner that we can send to the ice and put a crew on her, and they'll learn while they're out there, and then come in and processing the seals. They'll be more year-round employed.
Did the men get a good price for the seal product then?
Not at that time. I think Brian Davies has done a wonderful thing for Newfoundland fishermen. When we were selling fat, we used to get about $1.80 and $2 a cantle for the skin, say. And now it's gone up to $30 a cantle, so I think he's doing a great thing for us. Another thing, too, that's important, there's a lot of difference in the way seals are killed. Some people shoot them with shotguns, but here we use all rifles. And a seal that's shot with a shotgun needs to be bled immediately. Otherwise, the meat is kind of a sawdusty, cruddy, hard crud. But when it's blade, it's good eating meat. And these other people who kill them with shotgun bring them to Grand Falls and sell them to the merchants who retail them. And people don't like that meat, and they think all seal is alike then. But it's not. If the seal is bled well when it's killed, it's good meat.
All told, the day we were aboard the Beverly Jones, only 7 seals were taken. But that wasn't bad, considering it was the first seal of the season. Each pelt would bring in $50, while the meat of the flippers, the heart, liver, and ribs would be eaten. There was some fear when the animals were skinned that I would find the sight sickening, being the only woman on board and a townie to boot. But it was nothing. The animals is 3/4 pelt and blubber, and once that was cut, there's just the stringy carcass left.
We've always been seal fishing just the same as cod fishing. We don't see any more harm in shooting seals to feed ourselves than jigging a codfish in the guts and hauling that up through the water and letting it die.
We were easily caught up in the excitement of the hunt, the sighting of the seal and then the shooting. And that evening there was a promise of a seal supper, to which many of the residents of the town had been invited. With incredible speed and efficiency, the United Church Women in the Home League had prepared a large public supper to celebrate the taking of the first seal of the season. Afterwards, all were invited to partake of Little Bay Island's favorite recreational pastime, a darts game. There's no bar in the town, a tribute perhaps to the influence of the Salvation Army Church here, but it wouldn't be true to say no drinking goes on. However, a clean game of darts seems to be the rule, and it was a welcome reprieve to we city folk accustomed to socializing over a few drinks in a smoky, noisy bar. In some ways, life on Little Bay Islands is a microcosm of life in the province. The problems experienced by the islanders duplicate those of most Newfoundlanders. These are problems of transportation and isolation. But friendships are enduring and history is important. The Strong family will always be a part of the community. The Strong buildings still exist, and the general store is practically intact, giving one a glimpse of a bygone era. There is hope that one day the store will be preserved as a tourist site. While the Strongs were fish merchants, they seem to have survived the ill repute most Newfoundland fish merchants have today. The former system of buying and selling fish and seal produce was seen as gross exploitation of the fishermen, who were dependents on the merchants for pricing and credit during the winter. It was a feudal arrangement, but one which the Strongs carried off with respect and kindness to the people. They were later victims of the system, when during the hard times the fishermen couldn't pay back their credit, so the merchants suffered.
Well, I've heard my great-grandfather came from Twillingate or Fogo and started a business in about 1850. And he started a little store in shop in one of these stores here, the old store. And then my grandfather continued, and as he continued, he built stores and built schooners and started fishing supplies for the fishery, and built up to the time when we produced about 3% of the total fish produced in Newfoundland in the 30s. And to Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, and we also bought fish, seals and herring and turbot, all other kinds of fish too. We stored the seals all the winter in snow and ice, and in the spring get skinners to skin the fat off them, and then we had salters to bring the skins in and salt them in the stores, and the fat that was cut off was put through the fat chopper, which cut it up with knives and let it down in the digester, and then we'd start the steam boiler and put pressure on for a certain period of time and draw off the oil the next morning and fill it again and draw off more oil. We'd handle from 4,000 to 10,000 seals a year. We'd send schooners down the French shore, Horse Islands, and down the Straits of El Isle and buy what fat was there.
Now, did you have to export that fat?
Yes, the oil was sent to New York through St. John's Ferns, J.C. Ellis, or Chafe, Eric Chafe. And the skins, they handled skins too, but it was mostly for New York, American sales that we made then.
Tom Roberts is the head of the Fishermen's Committee on Little Bay Islands. Tom entertained us with stories during our visit and increased our vocabulary of the local vernacular. Tom endeared us with his stories, such as the one describing how he obtained his first rifle to go sealing. He got it from Jim's uncle, Hubert Strong. Tom was 17, and the desire to accompany the men sealing was strong. His father couldn't afford to get him a rifle, so Tom approached Uncle Hubert to work out a deal, a rifle in exchange for some work. Hubert wrote the requisition from the store on a small slip of paper and handed it to young Tom. Tom remembers how he even had the nerve, when the clerk in the store served him, to ask for a box of shot which Uncle Hubert had overlooked. It's no wonder Tom speaks bitterly of the seal hunt opponents who attack a way of life so crucial to the people.
Years ago, the seal fishery at Little Balance in the winter was very, very important, because it was half of the means of their livelihood. And for sure, it was meat on their table. Years ago, when prices of fish was way, way down, and they didn't get so much fish as what they're catching today, and the older people had larger families, so I'd say that 50% of their earnings depended on the seal fishery. And right up to the present time, that people on Little Balance that's not employed is looking forward to the seal fishery. Mm-hmm. And then again, in the spring of the year, all the longliner fishermen at Little Balance now, late in the spring, that we get to beat our seals there. And most of the people, the fishermen, all of the fishermen, that their unemployment insurance is cut off the 15th of May, and then it goes right into the seal fishery. And it means a lot of extra dollars to fit them out for the coming summer. So it means a lot. And not only that, the seal meat means a lot. I mean, you got a change of meat all the time. Well, rather than go to the store and pay $2 for a pound of fresh meat, when you got a lovely flipper seal, you experienced that last night, eh? Mm-hmm. And when you got a lovely flipper seal on your table, I mean, to something worthwhile. So it means a lot to the people of Little Balance all the way around.
Brian Davies and Greenpeace, how much do you see their campaign as an attack on the way of life that you've been used to? Is that the way it's perceived?
Yeah, well, you know, it's a big attack on us. I mean, Brian Davies and Greenpeace, you know, it's a big attack, and we're very much afraid that it's going to hurt us. Not only the people of Little Balance, but I mean the people of Newfoundland, because they're fighting this, you know, right wholly and solely. They says that they're going to stop the seal fishery. But we're very much afraid, too, that they are going to after a course of time, because they're getting pretty strong now, you know. Greenpeace is getting pretty strong, but I think so. I really think that after a while, you know, it may fade out. But right now, I really think that the time is going to come when they're going to stop the seal fishery.
Would you like to see government developing more markets for seal meat?
There's no doubt about it that they should be doing it, because it's pretty obvious today that with the costs of getting into the seal fishery or getting into any species, that the cost is getting greater. And if you've got to go out and come back in and throw away half of your product, then again, it's pretty obvious that it must be a sinking fund. So therefore, there's certainly room, and it's been questionable for some time. And we just hope that the government could do something about it. They've talked about it, but I think they're talking a bit too long. I think it's pretty plain to see that we're dealing with a meat that of highest protein, and so many people like it. So this is a matter of coming up with some type of cure for it, and I think we've got a market.
Do the fishermen report sighting as many seals as they used to?
In the past 2 or 3 years, yes, by far many more. We don't have a count on them, but from what we see, we're landsmen. We're not out to sea like some of the larger ships. We work from our base daily, go out in the morning, come back at night. So today you might go out and see quite a few seals, and tomorrow not hardly as many, but overall we are seeing a lot more seals than we have been seeing, there's no question about it.
So you don't think then that the whole question of conservation is really a crucial one right now?
No, it's not. It's not, because I think that we're going to have to maintain a quota on seals, or otherwise we're going to be into a further problem to what effect is so many seals going to have on our fish stocks. So I think we need conservation to a certain extent. We have to control the thing. We can't let the old breed of seals get too overpopulated. So we have to control it to this state, and the controversy between us as fishermen and the Greenpeace or the Greenpeacers, I think it's just a lot of bunk and bull. You know.
In your experience as a fisherman, have you seen where the seals have threatened the cod stocks to an extent? Have you ever seen a time when they really did cut down the numbers of cod?
Well, again, I don't know what real effect they're having. We do know they're having some because we've gone out here sealing and we have seen seals that have gone to the bottom and have brought up a turbot and they've had to cross their mouth when they've broke water. So we know that is a food. So now if you get hundreds and thousands of seals going to the bottom and bringing up hundreds and thousands of turbot, then you know it's got to have a drastic effect on our fish stocks.
How do the landsmen here feel about the hunt up at the front? Are they for it?
I think the way a lot of fishermen feel that I have talked to, it's almost immaterial whether there's a ban put on the white coats or not, because you see the landsmen don't take any white coats. But the problem would be what happens to the processing plant. Would the amount of seals, the number of seals taken by the landsmen, would that justify keeping a plant open? Would it be feasible, payable for a processing plant like we do have in Deldo, which is the only one in Newfoundland? Would it be worth their while to stay open just for the landsmen?
So you think that the two have to work side by side?
Two have to work side by side. Now, the less white coats are taken, the better chance there is for us to get the beater, which is only a difference of a couple of 3 weeks, and you're gone from a white coat to a beater. So would this mean more beaters for us, which is more proper for us to take? You see? So this is the big question. I think this is the only way I could say that where there would be a justification by the fishermen.
So on what lines would you like to see the seal fishery develop, as it always has, with the front hunt and the landsmen working together?
I see no reason for it to change if we, again, is going to take in consideration that they've got a right, as much right as we have got. So therefore, who are we to cut in on them?
All of us, as we got old enough to go sealing with our fathers or our uncles or so on, when we were taught, we got that in our blood, and storms didn't make any difference, darkness or anything. We had our gunning punts that we could launch over the ice, and we'd take 4 in a crew when we had to launch, but otherwise 2 of us. We had slob haulers, which were like a garden hole for going through snow slob. You can't row through it, you can't launch over it, so we had slob haulers, we call them. And so both of us sit back on the stern of the punt and holler ahead with this like a rake on us.
Describe to me the feelings you have when you're on the hunt.
Oh,
What makes it so exciting?
I don't know. I think mostly it's the scenery and the virgin ice, and people have never trod on it before, and it's nature of it is the thing that I like about it.
No.
The beauty.
The Greenpeacers would say it's man's barbaric nature, the Newfoundlanders' barbaric nature, which is sending them out.
Why don't they be concerned about the poor Vietnamese who are on these ships down there and can't get a place to land rather than come up interfering with people making livelihoods?
No matter where I may roam, dear friend, no matter where I may be, I'll always think of my island home, Newfoundland by the sea. I'll always think of the good old days when life was so carefree, and how the hours used to slip away on the island by the sea. I'll always think of the friends so dear, the friends I once knew, and in my heart they'll always be near, and in my memory too. Though miles I may be from you, you'll still mean the world to me, 'cause I'll never, dear friend, forget you on the island by the sea. 'Cause I'll never, dear friend, forget you on the island by the sea.
By the way, the song we heard on that piece of film was written and sung by Max Rosel, a resident of Little Bay Islands. Marie, how do we get to Little Bay Islands?
Well, it's not an inaccessible community. In fact, anyone in Newfoundland who's holidaying, here on the island themselves this summer, or anyone from across Canada who wants to go, can fly to Deer Lake. Then you drive to this community called Springdale, which is quite an affluent community in Green Bay. Take the ferry then to Little Bay Island, and it's only, when the weather is good, about a 15-minute ride on the ferry. And I understand that they're going to have improved ferry service this summer, so there should be no problem getting over there.
How does this hunt, which we've seen today, differ from the annual front hunt in March?
Well, the point that we were trying to bring out in the show is that it is quite different. The female seal carries its young for 12 months of the year, and they whelp, or they give birth to the young seals on the front in March. So that's the hunt that most of the controversy is about. The landsmen kill the adult seals as they are moving south, so it's considerably different.
How are the people involved in this hunt affected by the adverse publicity of the annual
They feel
seal
very
hunt?
maligned, and I think that's a point that did come out in the show. There are people who are very strong family people. They consider that they mind their own business. They're busy making a living for themselves and their families. And when they hear stories about places across Canada where, or even in the United States, where Newfoundlanders are looked down upon because they're thought to be barbarians or cruel because they do kill the young seals, they feel quite maligned.
Okay, thank you very much, Marie Wadden, and we'll be back with more programs from St. John's on Take 30. Good afternoon.